Right, right.
And
Yeah, they
so
had that Valley Oaks facility, and it was a really great hospitality they had it up there. It was a fantastic place to visit. It still is.
Oh,
So
yeah. So I really do. I'm very, very sure I probably had met your father one time in the past. So yeah, that's exciting. So you've been at the Wine Institute now for 9 years?
Yeah.
And go on.
Oh, and Wine Institute, we maintain this Discover California Wines website, and it's such a fantastic resource for anyone who's visiting California and you're trying to figure out where to go. We have a great map of all the wineries to visit, but we also have a bunch of recipes, wine pairings, so you can even select what type of wine you have you bought at the store and find a recipe that'll do the pairing for you essentially. And you can find all that on the site. So it's really a great resource that we help maintain for consumers around the world to access California wine.
Yeah, it is a good source. I really do use it quite often. I read something, and I want you to confirm this since you've been there for 9 years. I read something a couple of years ago, maybe even more now, because with COVID in there, it's sort of like everybody forgets that period of China. The amount of wine California is shipping to China is a staggering amount. Are they still doing that?
Yeah, California wine, our exports are pretty substantial. We did $1.23 billion in exports last year. And that's, 95% of the wine exported from the United States comes from California. That's, almost 25 million cases of wine we're exporting. I know the market in China has ups and downs, certainly with trade issues, but it continues to be a very important market for California wine.
Yeah, I read something that they hit a plateau there. I can't remember what it was, but the shipping to China has just been staggering. And they're making their own wine over there too, and they're still importing a lot from us. So,
yeah, they are.
Yeah. It's amazing. I received a email when you first. Well, actually, it wasn't you that was being booked, but it's told the vineyard acreage for California white wine grapes. I thought that was really interesting. You want to talk about that for a little bit for me?
Yeah. California has over 167,000 acres of white wine grapes planted. That's a huge amount of acreage.
Just white wine.
Just white wine. And that's, California is a big state, and that's 47 of our 58 counties are growing wine. So it's white wine specifically. It's all over the map in California. So it's important. White grapes are just as important as red grapes. And our top varieties. People think of California white wine, think of Chardonnay, and that's certainly the most grown white wine we have. But Sauvignon Blanc is really emerging as a very popular wine. People looking for that fresh, more acidic profile, drier wine. And then Pinot Gris also is on the map as well. But California grows over 30 different white wine grapes specifically. So you can really find any grapes from around the world. You can find grown in California, stuff like Chenin Blanc, Albarino. Riesling is one of my favorite wines, and you can find really fantastic Rieslings in California. So,
yeah, mine too. Well, I'm looking at there it is, Riesling. I was going to say I'm looking at this list and I didn't see Riesling, but almost 3,000 acres of Riesling grapes are planted there. So that's substantial.
Yeah. Some of my favorite California white wines are Rieslings. Up in Mendocino County, there's some that are grown back in my neck of the woods, but in Central Coast as well, and some really interesting producers making some really crisp, light. Not all Rieslings are sweet. some sweet Rieslings are excellent, but you can also find lots and lots of dry ones. And I find that Riesling in particular pairs so well with a wide variety of fruit food. Like, if you have a dinner with, you're making Thai food or something spicy, like even sweet Riesling will cut the spice, and it will really pair well and enhance that meal. So it's one of my favorite wines to pair with just about any food, but especially if you're having a spicy dish.
And Rieslings come in so many different styles. People, I think, usually think of Rieslings as being a sweeter wine, but there are some delicious dry Rieslings out there.
Oh, absolutely. And those, again, also pair well with a wide range of foods. And, on a warm summer day, you can, fill up your glass with a nice, cool, crisp Riesling, and it's hard to beat.
Yeah, you're right. And it's one of my favorite wines also. There are so many good wines coming out of California. Why do people immediately think reds then? What is it? Because reds has got better publicists? I mean, what's going on?
It's a great question. I mean, I think, white wines though do have a lot of fans out there. I think, we see a lot of growth, particularly in white wine. Sauvignon Blanc in particular, places like Lake County, there's plenty, a lot of Sauvignon Blanc, and it's really, really fantastic and excellent value. You can find it at your local grocery stores and liquor stores, and I think it's growing in popularity for sure. And I think there's maybe a stigma that white wines might not be as complex as red wines. You think of those red wines you age for a long time, but really you can age white wines just as much as you can age a red wine if it's the right variety, and they can be as complex and delicious as a red wine. So, I think, we just had this National White Wine Day this weekend, and, I don't really need an excuse to crack open a bottle of white wine, but it's really a great opportunity to think about these white wines and seek them out, because there's so many different occasions where you can, open a bottle, and especially during summer, it's, the perfect time for a white wine.
Yeah, you're right. And chilling white wines, what do you recommend the good temperature and how to get it chilled? I mean, I've heard things as little as a half hour to chill it to where you want. I've heard 2 hours. People frowning overnight, but what is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, if you have time and you can plan ahead, certainly you can put it in the fridge. I mean, I have a small little wine fridge where I keep about a dozen bottles, and they just stay in there, and I think they're set to 50 degrees, and they come out perfectly, ready to drink. But, your typical refrigerator is going to be a little cooler. So if you've left it in overnight, that's totally fine. And then, take it out and leave it on the counter for 15, 20 minutes, and it should be the right temp. A lot of times people will drink their white wines too cool, and when it's too cold, it really mutes some of those really interesting and unique flavors that you can find in white wine. So if you let it warm up a little bit from that temperature straight out of the fridge, it really opens up, and you get that beautiful bouquet of floral notes and green apple, lime, grapefruit, all those flavors you can get out of a white wine. And if you let it warm up a little bit from that refrigerator temp, I think that's the best temperature to drink a white wine at.
You mentioned something there about the floral, all that. White wines really do come out with a different set of aromas than do reds. What is it that people should look for, particularly in white wines? I mean, obviously there's all sorts of different, but what is the most common aromas that you'll find in some white wines?
I think certainly if you're looking for a more drier, sort of acidic wine, something that's zesty, something like a Pinot Grigio or a Sauvignon Blanc, those are the wines that are going to have that sort of notes of lime, lemon, the citrus fruits. You can sometimes get a little honeysuckle, or even a flavor like with Sauvignon Blanc. I always think of grapefruit as the indicator that I'm drinking Sauvignon Blanc. If it's got that, it's really what I go for. But if you're into something a little bigger, bolder, you want sort of those notes of vanilla or apple or something like a Chardonnay. You can get like a ripe apple flavor, and you can. Chardonnay is your grape for that, but also a grape like Chenin Blanc is less common grape, but also can have a wide range of expressions where it could be, sort of that bigger, richer wine, or it could also be that, very dry wine with, sort of notes of pear and honey, but also, some acidity from, citrus notes.
Mm-hmm. What is the majority of the white wines grown in the northern counties, or it seemed like it's just too warm in the southern counties in California, southern part of California? I mean, once you pass Monterey, you're starting to get some very warm temperatures. Where is is that a wrong assumption? Is there white wine?
Yeah, well, I don't know the exact breakdown, but I do know it's, white wines are grown all the way south in Temecula and San Diego counties, all the way up to the north coast. So, and Temecula, you can find Sauvignon Blanc and Chardonnay, and you can find that really, particularly Chardonnay is grown throughout the state. But Central Coast, Santa Barbara is an excellent place for they're known for Pinot Noir, but, think of Chardonnay, Pinot Gris, and Paso Robles as well. Paso is, very warm inland, but as you get closer to the coast, there's some really, really fantastic Chardonnays that they grow in Paso. So, and then Monterey is a classic area to grow Chardonnay.
Oh, you mentioned really Chardonnays all these times. For Chardonnays, but what about some of these others? We got a whole variety that is grown in California. The Muscat Blancs, the Rieslings, the Viognier, Albarino. Are those able? They're grown everywhere, or is it too warm in the southern part of the state?
There are certainly certain grapes that won't do well in really hot climates. So I don't know if there's a ton of say like Albarino or Blanc might not be grown in a super hot inland area, but there are other grapes that thrive there. So it's just a matter of a grape like Riesling does really well in the sort of cooler temperatures. So you would find that more on the coastal regions than inland. But whereas a grape like Viognier might do really well in a warmer region.
Oh yeah, well I can understand that. It just seems like the there's some areas that are just so warm that you can't get any of the cool weather grapes. But like you say, Pinot Noir, really grows well in all those areas, and it is a cool weather grape, if you will. So,
yeah, and just because a grape does, maybe its classical expression is it's from a cooler climate, but you can have a totally different wine if you grow it in a warmer climate, and it can also be excellent. It's just maybe not what people think of as that typical wine grape and how the flavors you get from it, but if you grow it in a different climate, you'll get different flavors. So there's really a diversity of wines, not just diversity of varieties, but also diversity of flavors you get within a single wine.
Yeah, well, that's good point too. Yeah, the Wine Institute. I want to talk about the Wine Institute a little bit because that's just a fascinating place and all that. Wine Institute was started how long ago, and what is, Lynn, a little history of the Wine Institute, the California Wine Institute?
Yeah, absolutely. So Wine Institute was founded actually in 1934. Wow. As some of your listeners may know, Prohibition was in effect until December 1933. And when the 21st Amendment passed the next year in 1934, folks that were in and around the wine business got together after the repeal of Prohibition and established Wine Institute. We were established in San Francisco. And of course, the industry has roots dating back to the 1700s and existed up until Prohibition. And, we had thousands of wineries before Prohibition. And then when Prohibition, a lot of them went out of business. They barely scraped by on sacramental wine. But, once wine was legalized again, they got together and formed Wine Institute. And so we're actually celebrating our 90th year in existence this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it had been around that long.
And so we're a collective of wineries across California. About 1,000 wineries participate, support the work we do.
Is it a volunteer membership, or?
It is. It is.
Because there's, 6,000 plus wineries in California.
Yes. there are many wineries, and many of them are very small, but we have a huge range of wineries. But within our membership, we represent about 90% of the production of wine in California.
And so it was started in 1934. What is the general purpose of, just to promote California wines around the state and around the world, or what have they done over the years?
Yeah, so our primary focus is public policy. So we advocate for California wine on the state, federal, and international levels. And so we bring together our members and our wineries to advocate for public policy that enhances the ability of wineries to responsibly produce, promote, and enjoy wine. And so we're very active, advocating for California wineries when there's things and legal matters and legislation being passed that would impact the wine business. We advocate for a fair marketplace and improve the ability of wineries to do business throughout all levels in California and across the country.
Oh, well, I didn't realize that. The Wine Institute in California is comparable to other organizations like that around the country, or is
Yeah. So there are other organizations, and other states have their own organizations that support their in-state wine industries. And California, of course, produces 80% of the wine in the United States. So we do have a large representation of the domestic production, is certainly in California.
Wait a minute, I've got a problem with my phone right here. Okay. Did the Wine Institute, how many employees do you have there now?
We have about 40, 45, 50 or so employees, and they're spread across both in California and then across the country. And then we have folks in international markets as well that promote California wine. So we're promoting wines and market and export markets across the world, since that's such an important business for California wine.
Oh, so they're all not right there. So you've got people all over the country promoting California wines. And it doesn't seem like California wine needs to be promoted all over the country.
You would think, but there's a lot of resources behind wines produced around the world. So we have a competitive marketplace, and we promote California wine, and certainly across domestically and internationally. Huge. There's a lot of emerging markets for California wine, so we're trying to grab consumers around the world and domestically. So
yeah, it just California, well, like you say, California produces 95% of all exports and are out of the United States. It would seem like everyone knows California wines, and it's you mention wine and people immediately think California.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is a good thing for you. I mean, for the Wine Institute, so what is probably continue on as you're continuing on, the future of the Wine Institute? Is that you have any long-term plans or anything that is happening there?
Yeah, so I mean, we're always working to promote California wine. I mean, a lot of this is reminding folks that wine is it's a unique product, right? There's not really another product in the world like it. It's been grown and made for thousands of years, and people are still consuming and making wine, and the parameters of how it was made for many years. So it's a unique product. It's a product that people have at meal times. It brings people together. It's an agricultural product. Sometimes people forget your grapes come from a farm, a vineyard. It's part of agriculture. It's a part of fabric of all the communities across California and across the country. And it's such a unique product, and it needs to be celebrated. So we're working on increasing our promotion of California wine and wine in general. And I think stuff like National White Wine Day is a great opportunity to remind folks about some of the fantastic wines we have and grown in California.
Yeah, I told people about White Wine Day coming up on the 4th, and I said, we're going to talk to California Wine Institute about White Wine Day, but we're going to be a little late on that. So
yes,
they can celebrate it.
To crack open a bottle of white wine. So
yeah, they can pop it open anytime. There's been a lot of talk, and in fact, I even mentioned it, I think last week on the show, a lot of talk about how wine is not good for your health. Different studies in, Britain particularly, and then there's been one out of Canada, and they're starting to say that 0 amount of alcohol a day is best for you. Do you have any thoughts on what's going on with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really challenging. In the United States, we have our U.S. dietary guidelines, and they recommend 2 glasses a day for men, 1 glass a day for women. I think the important thing is moderate consumption. Wine is not a beverage that people, you have it with a meal, you have a glass or two. It's not something that people are bench drinking. It's important to emphasize that wine it's not just an alcoholic drink. It represents so much more. It's important to have moderate consumption. A glass of wine is fine. Folks should, if they're, they don't have any other health risks, don't hesitate to, drink a glass of wine with dinner,
Right. The moderation, like you said there, that I think is the key to any alcoholic beverages. You don't sit down after mowing the grass and down a bottle of wine. You might down a beer, but you don't. I'm hot and sweaty. You give me a soda cup of wine. And drink the bottle. Not something you would do.
Yeah.
There's been, like I say, a lot of bad publicity about alcohol, and particularly wine for some reason. I don't know, they seem to be pinpointing wine. So I just wondered if you'd heard anything or.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly something we pay close attention to, and reminding folks of the the benefits of drinking wine. It's a unique product, and it can really enhance an experience. You can have a dinner party, but if you add wine, it's an excellent pairing. It can really elevate your experience. It can elevate your meal, and would hate to lose that. So it's important to promote all these positive aspects of wine.
Yeah, instead of it's bad for you. It's bad for you. And you're right.
Yeah.
Food and wine. I'm going to talk about that for a little bit here too. Spicy foods. What do you recommend with? You mentioned a Riesling with some spicy foods, but what other possibilities with Thai food,
I think
Indian food?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think going back, I do think Riesling, I want to emphasize, is an excellent option with spicy food, but also another variety is Muscat, which is another wine that's typically sweet and would pair well, but also has there are some dry Muscats. That's another grape that I think can go really well with a spicier food. And you can also look towards more acidic wines. Can also sort of cut that spiciness as well. That's one of those things we should and Gewürztraminer is another one. Yes, the sort of originally Alsatian wines that go really well with spicier foods.
The problem with, you say, dry Riesling, dry Muscat, stuff like that. Problem is they're not labeled all the time as if it's dry. What is there any other hint that someone might look at a bottle if they're looking for, say, a dry Muscat? They can say, well, okay, this is dry as opposed to sweet. Is there anything on it that?
Well, a lot of times the producer will say dry Riesling or dry Gewürztraminer, but some producers on the back of the bottle have a scale, and they'll put this wine as dry, semi-dry, off-dry, semi-sweet, and they'll have a scale, and the dot is where this grape is. But other wines like in champagne or sparkling wines, they'll have brut, extra dry, demi-sec. So sometimes they'll have some verbiage like that indicates that it's also an excuse to try them and find out yourself. But for the most part, I think a lot of producers are sensitive to that and try to indicate to buyers that what level of sweetness they're getting out of this wine.
And this is something else that I question too. Do they give their ratings dry, semi-dry, sweet, and all that based on the bricks, the sugar content, or do they base it on, well, I want to sell a dry Riesling, so I'll label this dry?
That's a good question. I don't know the specifics there. I know a lot. They certainly know what the sugar content is of the wines when they're testing. So I imagine it's often based on what the sugar content is. And as you know, most wines are going to be dry, have minimal to no sugar in them. But in the case of these Rieslings and Muscats and Gewürztraminers, they sometimes will leave a little bit of residual sugar in there.
Right. Just also some of the harshness of the acid, that's the reason. Mm-hmm. I've always, the scale is always fascinated and irritated me because, I'm always thinking, well, if this winemaker wants to sell a wine that's in a certain style that's really popular now, he can just put that on the label as this is that style. And most people won't know a big difference. I mean, it's just, I don't know. There's no standard, and that's what I'm getting at. I think they should be a standard saying, okay, if it's this bricks or if it's that bricks, then it should be labeled as dry or sweet or whatever. And, but that's like I say, I've always had an issue with that, with scales when they start doing that, because you go to one winery and they'll have it cheeked up a little bit sweeter, but it's not. It's the same as another winery that shows that it's a little bit drier. So, I just, on my soapbox here about that. I know we're celebrating White Wine Day, but red wines in California are what people think of when they think of California reds. I've read a lot that they're cutting back on acreage of red wines, and it did specifically say red wines. Have you heard anything about that?
Not specific to red wines. I mean, I know that there's been some talk about there being too many wine grapes planted right now, and there's an oversupply of grapes in the market.
Right.
And so I know some folks are saying to pull out grapes and all, but certainly red wine is also important to our industry in California. Cabernet Sauvignon is probably our most well known for California wine, California Cab. But we have beautiful Pinot Noir, Merlot, Zinfandel, of course, is one of the classic California grapes as well. So another grape, red grapes are grown much like white grapes all up and down the state.
Mm-hmm. And and they do get different flavor profiles by the warmer climates and the cooler climates too on those reds. I think that's more noticeable than the whites. And personally, am I mistaken on that assumption?
Yeah, I mean, I think one good example is Syrah. You can have really hot, warm area, have a real bold, sort of a little higher alcohol, fuller bodied Syrah. But if you grow it in a place like Mendocino Ridge or in Santa Barbara and Santa Rita Hills, they grow some Syrah in cooler climates, Sonoma Coast as well, and you can have a totally different expression of Syrah where it's got some herbaceousness. And it's really fantastic. That's actually one of my personal favorite reds is a cool climate Syrah. And you see a lot more of those popping up. But, and I also love a big, robust, warm climate straw as well. But, that shows sort of the diversity you can get from one grape depending where you grow it. And both expressions are fantastic. It's just what you're in the mood for.
And the big dark inky Syrahs from the southern part of the state is really bold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's you pair that with something that's bold on your plate too. I mean,
and like a barbecue ribeye or something.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. The Wine Institute, does it have maps of the different areas, the wine areas? I mean, they have wine trails. I mean, different areas.
Yeah.
Does the Wine Institute promote those wine trails and have maps that people can follow?
Absolutely. So California has 152 AVAs, American Viticulture Areas, or designated wine growing regions, and of course that's spread across almost all 58 of our counties where grapes are being grown. So on discovercaliforniawines.com, we have a map, and you can click in to a county. So if you're looking at Sonoma County, you can click in, and then you can click into the Russian River Valley, and then click in further, and there's a map of all the wineries in each AVA that are members of our organization. And you can find events that are going on. So, wineries are posting upcoming offers or tasting experiences, events they have coming up. We have California Wine Month coming up in September, which is a big celebration for us every year. And so wineries are really ramping up for California Wine Month coming up in September. And you can find all that information about the regions. We have explainers on each of the counties, each of the regions that are growing wine, and then popular varieties. And then you can find wineries and events that are coming up so you can plan your trip around wherever you're going in California.
Oh, sounds great. You said something that I caught my ear there, that the members, when you have wine trails, do you just list your member wineries, or do you list all the wineries that are on a certain area or in a certain area?
We list all the members of our organization that are in the area. So we do have 1,000 members, so there's quite a few of them. It's a really great resource to find wineries across California, depending where you're going.
I suppose if you're driving down the road and you see a winery, you're going to stop anyway, whether you have it on your list that says a member or not.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a possibility there. The website, again, is what?
It's discovercaliforniawines.com.
Okay. So it's a little different. Discovercaliforniawines.com. So if anyone's interested in that, you can check on that. Mike, do you have any questions or comments for Ian?
Yeah, I was yes, we finally got the video feed going, by the way. What are the requirements to become a part of the Institute? Like if there's a winery out there, you have 1,000 members, how do they get into that to participate?
Yeah, so you have to be a bonded winery making wine in California from California grapes, essentially the requirements. So if you're an owner or you work at a winery and you're not a member, it's as easy as emailing me. You can find my contact information on the website as well. And we have a how to join link, and this is on wineinstitute.org, which is our separate site. And you can find information on joining. It's just a simple application, and you pay dues based on how much wine you're producing. So it's a really great opportunity for wineries in California to participate, support all this work we're doing, and be a part of the California wine community.
Okay. Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you, Ron.
So you don't have to be a certain size or anything? I mean, you have to have a minimum number of cases per year to apply and be a member?
No, there's no minimum limit. I mean, we have folks that are very small, making just a couple hundred cases a year, to making millions of cases a year. So it's the whole range. And we have quite a few members that are small, family owned. It might just be a family operating it. And so we have we run the gamut in terms of wineries that we represent.
Oh, good. So, people can find small ones as well as just the biggies out there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think one of the fun couple of days I had was in Paso Robles, and all the little small family-operated wineries up all around the hills there to the west of Highway 1. I mean, there's dozens of them. And it was fantastic. People, you walk up in the garage and they have a board laying across something, and that's your tasting bar. And
absolutely. A place like Paso is one of those fantastic places to visit, where they've got a wide range of wineries of all sizes, different types of operations, and they have different climates within their region. So, if you go to discovercaliforniawines.com, you can find the wineries, sort of map out where you're going to go, and you can pop into one or two or three on a nice day out in Paso, and you can sort of experience the variety and diversity that you can find in a region like that.
And it's great. There's some wineries that make one wine. They have, totally. 5 or 6 acres behind their house, and they just make one wine. And oh my gosh, the wines were so phenomenal. I mean, it was like you would not expect it. But these people put their heart and soul into these wines, and it comes through in the taste. It's fantastic. I love the little small wineries around Paso Robles, and I've visited the ones around Monterey. Same type of situation there, and it's just all over California, though. They do that. Check out the website. Okay, discovercaliforniawine.com is the site for all the stuff that you do. Now, wineinstitute.com is
.org.
.org is different. In what way? Why?
So we're Discover California Wines is our sort of consumer-facing site. So it's where you go to find all the wine maps, recipes, tasting guides, and the like, and wine pairings. And then wineinstitute.org is our site that represents all of our advocacy work for the industry.
Oh.
So if you're an industry member, it's wineinstitute.org. And then for everyone else, discovercaliforniawines.com. And it's got all that information, all the fun stuff with tastings and maps to click around and learn more about all the many, many wines that are produced in California.
Oh, okay. So people out there visit, discover CaliforniaWine.com is the site that they want to check out, because that's where all of your stuff for the consumer is. Okay. Any closing comments or thoughts for us, Ann?
Well, I really appreciate you guys having me on. It was great to chat with both of you, and I think I just wanted to thank you for giving me the chance to highlight sort of the unique and variety of white wines in particular that we grow in California, and just encourage folks to check out our site and plan your trip to California or plan your get together with friends and drink some California wine. So thank you for having me on.
You're in San Francisco, aren't you?
We're based in Sacramento now.
Sacramento now. Weren't you in San Francisco?
We were for many years, but our headquarters changed last year to Sacramento.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because when I used to visit periodically when I lived out there, but that was a number of years ago, and it was always in San Francisco. And yes, at Sacramento, that my eyes widened when you said that.
Yes.
Wow. Well, good. New digs in that you're in now. So that's good. All right. Well, thank you for taking your time to visit us and sharing the information about California wines, and particularly white wines. And White Wine Day was last Sunday, August 4th. Is that standard every year, August the 4th?
I don't know. That's a great question.
I've looked up. I try to find wine holidays so I can pass it on to listeners. And I'll tell you what, there are so many discrepancies.
Yes. It's every week there's a new one. So
yeah, every week there's a new one, and they say, okay, White Wine Day is August 4th. And you find another site and it says White Wine Day is the first Saturday after the full moon in August, and and stuff like this. And I go nuts trying to keep up with which ones are what. So
well, I'll use any excuse to open up a great bottle of wine. So if they tell me it's Rosé Week or if it's White Wine Day, that's all.
So. That's why I do it. It's a White Wine Day. Open up wine. As if we need an excuse.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thank you very much for taking the time tonight. Best of luck to you. And if I'm ever in Sacramento, I will definitely stop by and visit with you.
All right. Look forward to seeing you.
Okay. Thank you now. Good night.
Take care.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff about California wines there. Everybody knows, like I told him, everybody knows California Red. You say California, you think Cabernet Sauvignon, but there are a lot of white wines there. And it's a big variety. Let's see. Boy, we got some time. And I was talking to him about health. And I mentioned last week I had found a blog actually that was talking about the health of wine, the bad things, all the bad things that are coming out about wine. And the blog mentioned a book that's called The Very Good News About Wine. And it said, the authoritative health evidence, the health authorities don't tell you. And this is by Tony Edwards. And Tony Edwards is a British author, and he's been on TV shows in Britain, and he's done stuff. He's written a couple other books. I got the book. Amazon, amazing. It arrived yesterday. I haven't started reading it yet, and I will and pass on stuff to everyone. From what I've glanced through, it is a very simple written book. It is not technical, and it covers all sorts of fantastic topics that correlate with the wine. He doesn't particularly talk about other alcoholic beverages or other things. Just it's geared toward wine, and he talks about heart disease, wine and diabetes, wine and dementia, sexism and racism with wine, weight, guts, other health benefits, live longer, what's in wine, even healthier wine, alcohol-free wine, dismiss and malinformation, and then frequently asked questions. So it should be an interesting little book. It's not real thick. The paperback was, I don't know how much the paperback cost. My wife ordered it, and she orders stuff from Amazon all the time, and I have to guess on how much it is. But it's only 168 pages, and that includes the index and everything else. So it's very short and simple read. Again, as I start finding out stuff with this book, I will start sharing it with you, because this thing with health and wine has gotten crazy, I believe. I mean, just absolutely insane. They talk about, for a long time, we talked about how good wine is for you and how it helps your health and how it's heart-friendly and brain-friendly and all this. And then all of a sudden they're coming out with things that, well, you shouldn't drink at all. There's no good benefit to drinking wine. Just stop it completely. And the studies along that line. And it is just, hopefully this book answers some of those questions.
It's like seasonal, though. It seems to, it's a wave or it's seasonal. It's like it's good for you, and then the next time that comes out a report, it's bad for you, and then it's good for you again. And, they just keep going back and forth. I think somebody's paying them off, or it could, I don't know who it would be, but they're being paid off or something to come up with these stupid reports that I don't know, just doesn't seem too reliable because of the changes like that constantly. And I don't know, there's something suspicious there when they can't settle it once and for all. And okay, this is the rule from now on, because somebody's going to come up and say, no, actually it's very good for you. Come on. Something's not right there. But we mentioned it so many times on here, and it's like, oh, it's bad for you. Yeah. Oh, it's bad for you again. It must be August. It's bad for you. It's got it.
Yeah. And you're so right. I never thought too much about it, but it does. I'll report stuff that I found, and it'll be good stuff and all that. And then 6 months later, it's, wait a minute.
Yeah.
All those reports are not right. This is what's right. It's all bad.
Right.
And you're right. It does. It comes back and forth like that. That's
and I wonder if there's anybody out there in the general public that actually listens to it and, heeds the warnings and, oh no, I haven't, heart disease or whatever, hey, I'm going to enjoy my wine. But
exactly.
Are those reports supposed to affect the market somehow, or is it just it's not good for you this time? So let's see what we can do, how we can drop it back a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, that's an interesting point too, because you mentioned the market, the sales of it is. I saw something where, what was it, dry July, I think it is, or something like that. They promote dry January. They said that it has affected the market a little bit, and the millennials and Gen Xers are the ones that are getting into it more than anything. And nothing against you millennials out there that are listening. I mean, but the volatile market of this stuff, they're saying that it is affected by a group not buying wine or any other spirits, and it says that the Gen Xers are getting more into the the energy drinks and stuff like that, and things with low or no alcohol. And I guess that's wine, but I don't know. I'm reading this book, maybe because he has a section on no and low alcohol. Maybe there's something in there too about it. So I'm looking forward to digging into that and seeing what it has to say because and Nomatica from our guest last week. She is popping up on advertisements I see on Facebook and other social platforms. It's actually her. I mean, it's not a spokesperson or anything. It's actually her promoting and selling Nomatica wines. And she'll sit there and talk about it. And I am the founder, and this is good for you, and you can buy this box here and get it cheaper and get it good and all that. So good for her. She's popping up on all that stuff and promoting the wine. But the way she talked last week, she's already all over the place. I mean, in all sorts of stores and everything else. So, but I've seen her everywhere. I wanted to talk. Well, not talk. I want to mention something that I saw on online. I was curious, and this is just a curiosity thing more than anything. But I saw this, and I was really going, "Oh, wow!" I don't know. We talked about it last week. We were talking about the Olympic people and winning a medal, if they get paid or if they get any compensation for it or anything. And I was curious, do they? And if it's just, yay, I got myself an Olympic medal, which I would be very proud of if I got one, and I'm sure they are well deserving of it. and they should be very proud. But I looked up to see if there was any compensation, and in the United States, there is compensation. It says its payment process is deemed Operation Gold by the U.S. Olympic Olympic Team Committee. But it states athletes will earn $37,500 for every gold medal, $22,500 for every silver, and $15,000 for each bronze. Wow, that amazed me. That it was so much, and it also says that athletes who break the world record on whatever event that they're doing get $100,000 bonus.
No wonder they're jumping up and down and cheering.
Yeah, really. I mean, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I'm been trying to find an answer to another question I have. Like the basketball team. And oh, by the way, the basketball game today was phenomenal. They played who did they play? I can't remember. Slovakia, was it? But great game day. But the basketball team, okay, say they win the gold. Does each one of those persons get that, or is it divided up? Or I would think each one would get it, but I don't know. That are the girls playing volleyball? I mean, there's 12, 10, 15 girls on the team. Do they each get this amount? I mean, it's a substantial amount. You start looking at this. No wonder people train for 4 years to go to the Olympics. I was really shocked at how much they get for that. And it says that what countries pay the most? China pays $768,000 for a gold. Singapore $745,000. Indonesia $300,000. Israel $271,000. The Republic of Kazakhstan $250,000. Malaysia $216,000. Spain $102,000. France $87,000. South Korea $45,000, and the United States $38,000. So you get really good. You pick up the phone and say, China, I'll swim for you.
Yeah.
You get a substantial $768,000 as opposed to $38,000. But oh my gosh, all these countries are paying their athletes a tremendous amount of money.
And I heard last night before that, I forgot what the country was, but they offer they give them a house and all these. Yeah, I forgot. I don't know if it was it was up in Europe. I don't know if it was Great Britain or one of those like around that in Norway. I don't know what it was, but they said that if they medal, they score. The government, they basically get treated like royalty, and they get a house. They get and it's paid for. It's not like hey, here's a house. By the way, you owe us this for this. Yeah, but they really, I never understood that. I never knew that, and it's just phenomenal how they treat them. After the fact, but there's a lot of work that goes into it also. All this time I'm thinking,
4 years,
I always thought they were volunteers and, thank you for the medal, that kind of thing. And, here's your trip back to your country, but there's some compensation there. Not bad.
There's big money compensation there. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just no wonder, like you said, no wonder they jump up and down the screen and yell when they win.
Right.
Yeah. I got a gold medal on my neck, but I just made $38,000.
Yeah. I did. I was watching.
That's,
What was it? The long jump. I think I forgot when that. Yeah, there was. They had something about the long jump, and everything is in meters, and nothing I can figure out. I don't know how far it is. And they said she jumped. This woman jumped like, I don't know if it was 6 meters or what, and I had no idea what that was. So I converted it. It's 19 feet. So I got my tape measure out because I'm always watching. I'm always watching the Olympics with my tape measure, and I ran down the hallway on one end, ran over to where the living room is. It was 19 feet long. I said, This woman can jump from the living room all the way down the hall in the air, not like close and you're about to land and land 19 feet later. That's ridiculous.
That is a ridiculous distance. It really is.
I'm thinking
like
6 meters.
The pole vaulters.
Mm-hmm.
You convert the pole vaulters and the height that they're going up. They're vaulting over a house. I mean,
the one yesterday, I think he went 20 feet. What was that one that he set a record, and I thought it was between 19 and 20 feet. And I go, oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
I know. You're jumping over a house there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Here, let me get on the roof. Let me get on that roof and help you out. But you don't have a ladder. Who needs a ladder? Come on.
Yeah, that's okay. I can get up there.
Ladders are overrated. Give me that bamboo post. Yeah. Give me that bamboo post. I'll get up there.
I guess. No problem.
Wow.
It's just you start looking at this stuff, and like I say, that's the thing with America. We are the foot and inches, and everything else is metric, and so they say, well, they did this, and it was this many, meters, or and we go, oh, okay. But when you start converting it, we're going, oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's pretty phenomenal what they did.
It is.
I've been doing that with everything. They say the 400 meter dash or the 400 meter run, and I'm like, okay, what's 400 meters converted over to? Wow. I mean, I'd make it off the starting line, but that's about it. And then I'd maybe 3 meters. That's pushing it, but yeah, I could probably. Yeah, break time.
Break time.
It's
and my beer back.
Yeah. I never really noticed. I never paid attention to it before, and for some reason, I'm like watching it, going, "Wow, what have I been missing? Did the Olympics just start? Because I never knew this stuff before." And then you bringing up the salaries and everything. It's just there's quite a bit.
I never knew that before either.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, they trained for 4 years. But they, I mean, like the 4 exercises. They know a lot of these people from the other teams and other countries because they travel around and do the gymnastics everywhere, and they a lot of the basketball players from these other countries play in the National Basketball Association, the NBA, and these cyclists they know each other because there's competitions all over the place. So a lot of these people know each other, and they're constantly going to these events and everything else, and so it's not like they're meeting people for the first time.
Right.
So,
yeah, pretty interesting.
So that is our conclusion to All About Wine and information on the Olympics.
Okay. It kind of took a time.
That stuff on Olympics just it just fascinated me that when I started to see the amount of money that the winners actually got. I never thought about it, but then all of a sudden I thought, did they make any money? And boy, do they make money.
Yeah. Well, and then there's endorsements. Look at the endorsements now. They're not doing that for free. There's quite a bit now.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Well, like Phelps won, what, 20 gold medals?
20 something.
I mean, the amount of money that he's got, and then his endorsements and his commercials and everything, it pays off for him. So, well.
It keeps him afloat.
I'll just read this book and pass on. I get it. Yeah. Okay. And on that cheery note, we're calling into All About Wine. We do have a guest next week. Oh, where did I put my book? Oh, there it is.
August the 15th. Yeah.
Yeah. I had audio problems tonight. I'm on my cell phone. I called in like a regular guest, and I talked on the cell phone. Clarity was there and everything, but it's just irritating that it didn't work. I'm gonna have to do a microphone test. Pull that up and do a microphone test. We've got Rosalind from Fog Crest Vineyard on next week. So that'll be our guest. I'll confirm that and send you the information, Mike, so you can have it. But Rosalind will be our guest next week on the 15th. And let's see, what do we got here? International Prosecco Day is on the 13th. And International Rosé Wine Day is on the 14th. I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really don't know. I have a question mark by International Rosé Wine Day because, you notice Ian chuckled because he ran across the same situation I do, obviously, not knowing what they were. So, let's see, nothing between now and then. So we got International Prosecco Day on Tuesday and International Rosé Wine Day on Wednesday. And then Rosalind will be our guest Thursday.
All right. Very good. We'll look forward to that. And I think we are ready to close the show. It's 8:06 p.m. on this Thursday, the 8th of August. Thank you all for tuning in. Be safe. And I hope everyone was safe through Hurricane Debbie, Tropical Storm Debbie here in this area, and it turned into a hurricane before it made landfall in Florida. And just everyone, hope you're making out okay.
It's still a problem, though, up the Carolinas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It caused some...
She's not going away. Debbie's just hanging around causing flooding and everything.
Yeah. There's another one we have to watch out for that has I think it was a 30 or 40% chance of developing. That's out on the Atlantic right now, so we'll be watching that over the next 7 days. It has that chance, but right now it's just...
Really? I didn't see that.
I just saw right before the show. I got on there and I was like, okay, here we go. It's that time of the season. So...
Yeah, it is.
Ramping up. Yep.
One after the other, or a whole bunch of them at once. It's the way it works.
Yep. All right. Have a good week. We'll talk to you all next time. Thank you. Be safe.
Yep. Thank you all for listening. See you next week. Be safe.
This concludes tonight's broadcast of All About Wine with your host, Ron. For show information, links to All About Wine on Twitter and Facebook, or to be a guest on this show, visit the show website at www.allaboutwinebtr.com. Archived shows are available for download on iTunes or on our show page at blogtalkradio.com/allaboutwine. Thank you for listening. Drink responsibly, and we'll see you next time on All About Wine.